What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my main man, my partner, my brother here.
And if you don't know, now you know. The most charismatic man. Thanks for having me again, brother.
My man. So we've got an article courtesy of the New York Post, which says NBA players infuriated over Noah Lyles world champion comments. The article goes on to say that the basketball community couldn't help but laugh over U.S. track and field star Noah Lyles' recent comments in which he took issue with NBA players referring to themselves as world champions after winning an NBA title. He said, "You know what hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head." Lyles, age 26, said during a press conference at the World Athletics Championships in Budapest this past weekend. He said, "World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the US at times, but that ain't the world. There ain't no flags in the NBA." NBA players, including Phoenix Suns stars Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Denver Nuggets reigning NBA champion Aaron Gordon, took to social media to respond. Kevin Durant said, "Somebody help this brother," while Booker just added a face palm emoji. It says Gordon, however, challenged the six-time world champion sprinter to a race. He said, "Whatever, I'm smoking buddy in the 200 meter." Lyles, who claimed the 200 meter sprint double on his way to 3 gold medals at the 2023 championships in Budapest, has yet to respond. All right, so what are your thoughts on the situation, bro? I know we don't
Ooh,
talk about basketball as much.
no, at first I was going to come up here and light a fire under Noah, not because I hate him or anything. Shout out to him. I do watch his um his runs, but the more as I read his comments, I read other publications, I actually understand what he was saying. Now, his delivery, it seems like some of the players are poking that maybe his delivery wasn't that great, but I also kind of understand where he's coming from. Now, before I get into that, what is your thoughts?
So my thing is this. I feel like all of this debacle and debate got sparked. It's not because of what he said, it's how he said it. You know what I'm saying? I think anytime you try to, disparage somebody else to big yourself up, you're asking for backlash. You know what I'm saying? Now, you can't compare basketball to track and field. It's apples and oranges. And my thing is this also, the NBA is basically the best league in the world when it comes to basketball. And in fact, players from all over the world play in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? So to call themselves world champions, I don't think it's too far fetched because again, you have players from all over the world who play in the NBA. So yeah, they might not be competing with China and Russia and France and Italy and Jamaica, on the regular, but the NBA does participate in the Olympics, right or wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure if let's say the best teams from all over the world were playing teams from the NBA, there'd be no comparison because the basketball teams in the NBA are the best. They are the best of the best. So, in one sense, I understand where he's coming from, but I don't necessarily agree with the way that it came out because his whole energy was like one, he was laughing, he was giggling and smiling, and he's like, world champion of what? It's almost as if you're trying to, belittle and diminish the accomplishments of again the world champions of today and prior. So to me, I feel like he was just asking for trouble.
Right. Yeah, I get what he's saying. I think he's smelling himself a little bit right now because he's trying to achieve the same level of success as Usain Bolt, which is hard to do. But I understand what he was saying, meaning, courtesy of USA Today, I'll read this. Quote unquote, while both sports attract elite talent from every corner of the globe, NBA games are typically played in the United States and Canada and don't involve teams from other top leagues in other countries such as Spain or France. Track competition, however, are held at locations around the world, requiring its athletes to compete against the world's best on their own turf. Um, which I kind of agree with, right? When I watched the Olympics, right, and I think it goes back to someone was saying, I think it was in further along in the USA Today report, that basketball is a group, sport. It's not a sport where, yeah, you might have the household names, but it's a team sport. Whereas track and field, some of these other Olympic sports are individual sports. So in that aspect, there's difference, right? Like when you play in NBA, you can be, all American, have one Chinese person on the team, and then you can say, hey, well, we're world champions here. Which I'm not saying this what the NBA do, but I understand that in the Olympics, you're competing. I remember when I used to watch Usain Bolt compete. You had Jamaica, you had Africa, you had Spain, you had all types of countries I've never even heard of before. And I think when you think about it in that aspect, yes, you are competing with the best in everybody else's country. But the NBA is also, and I think Noah probably didn't realize it, but they do play in the Olympics, and they do have other players from other countries. So it's not like it's just a bunch of American players, consider themselves world champions. You have
Facts.
the Jeremy Lins, and I think there's even Giannis.
Yeah, I have a
He's from
whole
Africa.
list. Yeah, I have a whole list of foreign champions that are in the NBA. You got Jonathan Kuminga, and he's from Democratic Republic of the Congo. You got Juan Toscano Anderson, who I'm assuming, he plays for the Warriors, or he played for the Warriors. Or no, he's playing for the Warriors right now.
Yeah.
Then you got Mamadi Diakite, and he plays for Milwaukee. Kostas Antetokounmpo, and that's Giannis's brother. Pascal Siakam from Cameroon, and Giannis and them, they're from Greece. Freaking Serge Ibaka is from the Republic of the Congo. OG, I didn't even know how to pronounce his last name, but he's from Great Britain. So that's what I'm saying. You got a lot of players that are not from America. So how can you not call the NBA champions world champions when the NBA consists of players, top elite players from around the world? Because you know what it is, honestly. And again, like, I'm not a basketball aficionado, and I'm not a track and field aficionado. So for me to say, but again, this is just my assessment. I feel that track stars, even at the Olympic level, they're not as highly regarded as the top players in the NBA. Like, they are famous, absolutely, but they're not on the set. They don't. I feel like Noah Lyles won't get the same type of recognition that, let's say, a top NBA player would, like Ja Morant will get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure if the average person were to ask who's more famous, maybe Ja Morant or let's say Giannis, for example. Who's more famous,
Oh yeah,
Giannis or Noah Lyles? Frankly, bro, I didn't
Giannis.
know who Noah Lyles was until yesterday. I never even heard of this dude. So when you see guys like that, and again, I can understand why you feel away, because you feel like, I've been competing at this high level, and it's a solo sport, not a team sport. I'm actually a world champion, but I don't get the actual recognition that these so-called world champions get, but they play in a domestic league. But when you really break it down, it's not as domestic as you think. He would be 100% right if the NBA only consisted of American players. Then you know what? In fact, there'd be nothing I could say to dispute his point, but he's only partially correct. You know what I'm saying? I can only give him like a bit less than partial credit. But when you really look at it, he's wrong.
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question, because this is courtesy
Dirk
of
Nowitzki is from Germany. Paul
yeah,
Gasol
Paul.
is from Spain. That's what I'm saying. All of these top players are from around the fucking world. But yeah, that's your question, bro.
Yeah, so this is courtesy of the NPR, right? So I don't know who this guy is, Gary L. Smith. They put an article. He tweeted this out amongst the controversy. So he said the reaction from the U.S. to Noah Lyles' comments is the perfect mirror into American exceptionalism, and it's fascinating. They generally believe the NBA winner is a world champion because the league has the world's best players, not because different nations play for it. And he goes on to say, so what a lot of Americans think that Americans are, taught with the self-confidence and this belief that if you can make it in America, or if you're good in America, you could do good and be good anywhere else. And stuff like this goes into, athletic competition, because American athletes always come with, a chip on their shoulder. And that because we're from America, we're better. So let me ask you in that regard, because I hear people say this all the time. Like, we look at Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, right? These are some of the biggest names in the world. Now, if they walk, well, I'm sure they'll get recognized. But let's say they walked in the middle of Utah, most people may not know who they are. But when you look at social media and the media presence that they have way more followers than the top NBA players combined. So in that regard,
Mm-hmm.
would you say that is there some truth in the aspect that Americans tend to believe that just because LeBron James is the top player in the United States, he's the best player in the world because he's from America?
It's not because he's from America. It's literally because of his skill and everything that has to do with what he does on the court. Because I feel like if the NBA players were not the best, then I don't think the NBA will be as, big as it is, worldwide. It's not like, NBA is only, hot in America. No, it's hot around the world. I obviously I can't say the same for like soccer or some shit like that because I know soccer is huge, around the world. But as far as basketball is concerned, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with them just being from America. It's just the fact. The fact is that they're the best, and history has shown really since the '90s, like the Dream Team and all of that, that we've been the best. And I'm pretty sure if the NBA were to, I don't know, like open itself up to the rest of the world, or if there would be like, I don't know, yeah, well pretty much like that's what the Olympics do. I don't know if every time the Olympics are being held, that basketball is always a thing. Like I know boxing, sometimes is a thing in the Olympics. I'm not sure. Like I said, y'all listening, I'm not, an aficionado when it comes to this stuff. But teams in the NBA are the best. That's it. There's no one else around this world that will compare to freaking LeBron James or any other top player in the league. And I'm pretty sure if they did, they would be in the NBA. I'm pretty sure every single basketball player who plays in, in another, foreign, league or whatnot, I'm pretty sure if they had their way, they will be playing in the NBA if they could. If they could. Why? Because, the United States is like the mecca of, media and entertainment pretty much. They'll get paid the most. They'll probably get treated, the best. They have the most resources, like all of that. So it's just what it is. It's just what it is. Because have you heard about, let's say, some top player in China somewhere or some shit? No. In fact, when you hear about American players going to play abroad, it's always like a downgrade unless they're like a college student that's preparing himself to get to the league. That's like what LeVar did with LaMelo and LiAngelo. They played in like, I forgot what random country it was, but they played before they entered the draft. But generally speaking, if a player were to leave the league and go play in China or Mexico or some shit, it's a downgrade. So NBA is the cream of the crop of basketball players around the world. So you can say that these people are world champions. That's like in boxing. They call, boxing champions world champions. Why? Because other countries are able to compete for the titles in boxing, the belts in boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like even in the UFC is an American league, right? But other, fighters from around the world can compete in the UFC, right?
Right.
But because the UFC only is held in America, does that mean that if you're let's say a champion in the UFC, does that mean you're not a world champion because you know what I'm saying? You're not fighting somebody from China or France every fucking week?
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Like I understand what he's saying, but I just feel like guys like him are bitter because he's not getting the same type of recognition as a freaking, LeBron James or somebody in America, at least. Because I know Usain Bolt is not from, America, but who's more famous, LeBron James or Usain Bolt?
LeBron James.
LeBron James. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if they can make a movie about if Usain Bolt could make a Space Jam like movie for himself, he would, but nobody would go see it. You know what I'm saying? And people didn't go. Okay, like Michael Jordan was the most famous basketball player in history. Facts. He competed in the Olympics, the Dream Team in 1992. If I'm getting the dates right, him and the entire Dream Team, they played other teams from around the fucking world. They were the best. There's no comparison. So I don't want to hear what the hell he's talking about. So when you have Kevin Durant and Drake and other players, scoffing at what he says because they know what it is. They're like, we could open it up to other countries and y'all would get burnt out. You guys would get washed. You guys would literally get washed. If we take 30 to maybe 40 of the best players in the freaking NBA, and then you put them up against freaking, you know what I'm saying? That's like the NBA playing Drew League players. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
Big Three players or some shit. There's no comparison. That's why the NBA is called the National Basketball Association. National. So players from other nations around the world. Get it? Fucking Noah Lyles, yo. It's like the more that I'm thinking about this shit, I'm just like, yo, come on, man. Like, again, to me, I just feel like he's being salty. He's only partially right, but you're salty because UFC, boxing, and shit like that, for the most part, they are primarily staged and are most popular in America. But if you have other people from other countries, the best of the best, that are joining that league and playing for the NBA or fighting in the UFC or etc., they're world champions.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I think he. I don't. Yeah, I think there's some
Salty.
aspects
He's salty.
because he was saying something like the leaders of the Olympics need to do a better job with marketing and showing the international taste of the Olympics. Look, at the end of the day, I do agree with you. I unfortunately it pains me. Now, I'm not gonna say Usain Bolt isn't popular because he is. A lot of people know who he is because
He is.
his
Yeah, he is
skills
popular.
were his skills were very even to this day, everybody compares Noah, any track runner, to Usain Bolt. Now, in regard to that, though, NBA is a lot more universally popular. And I think one of the reasons he said this was because he's looking at it like, yo, NBA, they get all this money, all this fame, all this media attention. Olympics or, track athletes don't get that much compared to the NBA. So, with that regard, we're world champions, quote unquote, because we're having all these countries come together to one place and compete. How are we not getting the same media coverage and attention as
Because
LeBron James?
you're just not. You're just not. Like, if he wanted to be the most popular athlete or some shit, then yeah, maybe he should have pursued football or basketball or some shit. But again, track and field is just not. It is popular in America, but it is not on the same level as basketball, football, and even baseball. You know what I'm saying? Like, track and field, to me, I feel like it's more so like an international sport, but domestically, it is not nearly as popular. People don't refer to track and field as America's favorite pastime. No, they label that what, football or baseball, some shit, one or the other. So that's what I said. Like, he's just salty. He's just salty. So in order to make himself feel better about his sodium levels, he just decided to try to, how should I say, belittle the accomplishments of NBA players to big himself up, to try to say, oh, well, saying I'm on another level because I'm running against, other guys from around the country, which is great too. I'm like, yo, I know for a fact it takes a lot to compete at that level. But again, just the popularity and the recognition is just not on the same level. He probably doesn't get paid nearly as much as the average, like an NBA star. I'm pretty sure he don't. And it's just what it is. He's not wrong to feel like he's entitled to feel however it is that he wants to feel about that. But again, it's like anytime I gotta, put you down to put myself up, to big myself up, I'm inviting backlash. You're inviting that type of shit your way. That's like when people try to make comparisons between the WNBA and the NBA. It's not the same shit. It's not the same shit. So you can't try to put female basketball players or expect them to get the same type of pay as the NBA. It's not going to be the same thing. People don't talk about the WNBA as much as they talk about the NBA. It's just one of those things. That doesn't make, in my opinion, female basketball players any less of athletes than men. It's just not as popular. But that doesn't mean that, because, right, don't women from other countries come to the America to be in the WNBA?
Don't
Exactly.
even ask me, bro. I don't even know.
Oh, you don't know? Well, but I would
assume
it'd be the same shit, because there are women that play basketball at an exceptional level, at a great level. So they're world champions too. That's like Clarissa Shields in boxing. She's undisputed. Like, she's been undisputed like 2 times or some shit like that. but she's not nearly as popular. But that's just what it is. I'm pretty sure she recognizes that there's really no comparison between men and women in boxing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. So to me, I honestly, like, after talking about all of this, I really just Noah Lyles really just seems like a very, like, salty individual, and I don't blame the NBA players for feeling the way about it, and I don't blame Drake for feeling the way about that shit either, because it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and the way that he went about that shit, to me, he's just corny. He's just corny.
But it's funny, doing a little research. I just found this out. Apparently, Shikari Richardson actually stood up in support of him.
Of course, she go. What you expect her to say? Because she a track runner too. She's a track runner too. So of course you're gonna have somebody who's literally, like, pun intended or figuratively speaking, in the same lane. Who's running in the same lane as him. Of course you're gonna feel that. She's gonna feel some type of way. That's like an NBA player is gonna feel some type of way. Why? Because he's talking about them. So I don't really expect her to have an honest assessment on this situation, because she's too close to it, because they do the same exact thing. She's famous too. So it's like they get the recognition, but I feel like deep down inside, when they themselves make the comparisons, if they do in their minds to, again, basketball players specifically, because that's what he mentioned, they don't like how they don't measure up. If you got what I'm saying, in terms of popularity, probably money, and status.
Yeah, and before we wrap this up, I'll say this, because the athletic.com, they did a thing where they made a case for Lyles and against him, and basically the case against him was basically everything you said. But one of the cases they made for him was 29 of the 30 NBA teams are in the United States, and outside of them not competing against other leagues in Spain, China, and Greece, so that there's no uniforms or flags for international players. Meaning, in the UFC, if you're, for instance, Glover Teixeira, when he was champion, he was able to hold up his Brazilian flag. So someone from China, if they went Zhang Weili, when she became champion, she's able to hold up her flag and represent her country. Whereas, in the NBA, you don't really get that. Now, some people might recognize that, hey, he's not from America, but you don't get the same. You don't really get to represent your country.
Giannis does. Giannis does. He makes it clear he's not American. He might not have to, like, wave his flag around, and I'm pretty sure if I look it up, he most likely has. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you come to the NBA, or you come to America to play for the NBA, that doesn't mean that you have to forego, your actual, identity and where you're from, or your cultural identity. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just he's salty, man. This dude is just freaking salty, bro. Like, that's all that shit is, man. And he looks like, I don't know, he looks like some, like, actor that I've seen before. I just can't think of who the fuck he actually looks like, but he looks like somebody. I don't know.
Oh, I know you're talking about. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, who does he look like?
I know. I know he's on what's his name?
He looked just like some actor. I hope we can figure this shit out.
I know you're talking about, because he had a terrible. I think it was him. He had a terrible freestyle on Breakfast Club. I think it was him. I know you're talking about, though, the actor you're talking about, because I think he was doing rapping for a little bit, and he did a freestyle on the Breakfast Club, and it was trash. But yeah, I'll probably get his name off of this. But you know what?
Yeah, when that nigga crack a smile, he looked just like some fucking actor. I just don't.
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, yo, I don't know who the fuck. I'm literally trying to think, because, like, I want to get a good laugh before the shit is fucking over. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but he do look like somebody. I can't pinpoint it right now. I can't pinpoint it, but he do look like somebody. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Please be sure, as always, to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.